saying, never do that, or that we can't do this, and we go back and change them, and you come back and we keep on doing that. So forgive us if we've stepped on any feet, because I'm sure we have. But, so this is really just kind of a concept to show the different approach. It's all the principles that I talked about this morning, about creating connectivity, about creating public domain, about making streets that are charming and attractive, that people want to be part of. And so this is your existing street grid of this area that we're looking at. This is Main Street, I know, and Hebron. And you'll have to, and I think this is New London. So I know those so far. You'd have to know the other. So what we did is we did an overlay of how we could break that into smaller blocks. Remember I said that the best intersection density has blocks no bigger than 375 feet. So that's kind of what these are. These are 375-foot long blocks, some smaller. And what you're looking at is streets that miss buildings. We're in this rendition, we're trying to not have to tear down any buildings. All the buildings stay the same way they are. We're basically utilizing parking lots and existing drives to close where new streets go. But anyway, then looking a little more fine grained, just some ideas. One we talked about doing something that really celebrates nature, some sort of gate. Main Street that announces great open space, and then maybe an alley of trees or arborvitae or something that will be this grand avenue that takes your eye down to some spectacular specimen tree, a tulip tree or something at the very end, something that was uniquely Glastonbury idea. Another idea was we are taking this street edge and then moving everything up against it so that we end up with 20-foot wide sidewalks, about a 34-foot wide two-way street with parking on both sides. That's our ideal. There would be a lot of arguments with traffic and first responders to get that. 5 lanes, 7-foot wide parking lanes, and then 20 feet sidewalks, which is plenty of room to give you place for cafe tables and also a planting strip and trees and all the rest of it. But what that did is it pulled, you can see, pulled the street over about 20 feet from where it is. So we're able to make the fountain green a lot bigger, and we're proposing incorporating these buildings into the green, so the green starts feeling bigger and bigger. And really, somebody said they didn't know where the center was, so we're going to make it really obvious. This is the green, the Glastonbury green, and we're putting a little lane through here because we thought these seemed a little forlorn over here. But if we have a little lane going by, suddenly it sparks them up, and they have access, and you can drive around, and then I'll get to this in a minute. Basically the color coding is the light gray are the existing buildings, the dark gray are where new buildings could go, and then for lack of time, we just basically over here, these are the new streets that we looked at, showing what we would be proposing is a building line that buildings have to observe. And so that the buildings then create the streets. And some of these, we're thinking there might be mid-block, well, there would certainly be mid-block parking, but maybe structured parking. And as we've learned today, there's about 40 parking that is needed. One other thing that may not have been mentioned is that these streets, which have parking on both sides that we're showing, most of them, some don't, surprisingly, you can park 30% more cars on a street than you can in a parking lot with the same quantity of paving. We were doing this project in Mississippi, and they needed all these cars. It's the municipal buildings, the city hall, fire station, and the city hall annex. And we needed all this parking, and there was no room for parking. I don't know what they were thinking, because the previous buildings, there was no parking lot. So they lived for 100 years. Yeah.
The word Mississippi made me think we're in New England where it snows, and one of the things that I've observed when you go to this higher density is your snow removal truly becomes removal during large storms, and the budget for that is significantly higher than just running a plow and shoving stuff to the side of the road, because the space that you normally use for snow storage today is going to be valuable parking.
Yeah, it's paid parking. Pay for that snow. But yeah, that's a good point, and we have to think about that. But all the point I was trying to make is that when we put it in this Mississippi example, when we put in a conventional parking lot, we could fit 30 parking spaces, and we talked them into putting streets around the building, and we fit 50 cars.
Was that parallel parking?
Yeah, parallel parking. We also had some parking, a little bit of parking lot. It wasn't purely street, but we were able to get considerably more parking. So all I'm saying is that with these streets, you're going to actually satisfy a lot of your parking that you have in lots now will be handled on the streets. Then we've done some things like, this is the library, and so we've put in a new street that reflects and makes the library important by being a termination of the street. And that might be, you know, if you put two little flanking somethings, this might be a beautiful garden in front of the library. Same thing with the church over here. We have a street that terminates on the church. And also, kind of our most fun thing, this is downtown, and we thought, you know, what you need is a lyceum, an athenaeum or something, where people can give talks, where you can have movies, where you can have debates. You know, it's a public meeting hall. And so we have it in this space. We're changing New London from being this sweeping highway to becoming more street-like. And we're saying, what if this had a dome? Because we have it terminating this vista, which, you know, goes for a long way, and then also this vista. It doesn't have to be a dome, but it could be a square thing. But anyway, we thought this would be a great location across from the post office for your public building that could go there. This is Whole Foods. They really need visibility. They like to see their whole building. We know that. So we put a park right in front here, so when you're coming, you see it right across, and then inside of this block would be structured parking, probably for Whole Foods, but having liner all the way around it.
What do you mean by structured?
Yeah, okay. And we're showing new streets all over the place, and these can have small, even connected housing like brownstones, or something that you thought was appropriate for Glastonbury. That could have stoops. They could have what are called live works, which have the first floor. It can transition. It can be either residential or commercial. So that in the beginning, when retail is too skittish and you can't rent the retail space, it can be rented as an apartment. And then if retail picks up, and obviously retail pays a lot higher rent than housing, then the building owner can switch over to retail at any point. This area might be that, but we're thinking most of this is in the same scale of separating